Hello, viewers, and welcome to the Research Spotlight. This is a platform where researchers and people in academia share their journey and the interesting things they are doing with us. And today's episode is very interesting one because it is our first episode, and our guest is already in here. He is in the person of Mr. Eugene Arthur-Baidoo. Mr. Arthur-Baidoo is a PhD student at the University of Innsbruck, and he is here to share his journey and all the stuff he's doing with it. Hello, Mr. Arthur-Baidoo.
Hello, thanks, Tisha.
Welcome to the Research Spotlight.
Thank you once again for the invitation.
Great. So, how is Austria?
Yeah, as you know, we coping with the lockdowns owing to the COVID-19, but everything is well in the lot as well.
I hope the weather is great as well.
Oh yeah, for now there's no coldness. The snow is all gone, so we're enjoying the sunlight.
Okay, that's good to know. So, Mr. Arthur-Baidoo, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so in principle, I'm a Ghanaian, and I started my education, secondary education at Barbados Sukuma in the central region of Ghana, and also from there I moved on to Ken University to pursue physics. I mean the bachelor level, so I majored in biomedical physics and worked on a project related to effects of radon gas inhalation on lung cancer. And then after this, I had a master scholarship to pursue nuclear energy in France, and later on with industrial and medical application of radiations. And then I joined my current group at the University of Innsbruck and have been with them since 2018.
Wow, that's interesting. Thank you for taking us through the journey. We already have one comment here. We have Anusha Telagatoti saying, "Hey, my boy." Yeah, so we encourage viewers to send in their comments. Okay, so what inspired you to consider career in this field? I mean, in research.
Okay, so in principle, thanks for this question. I think when we talk about research, people think, working with huge machines and some sophisticated equipment. But then research has been with us for a longer time. For example, if we look at back then, I will give us a layman's example where we people in our heart to steal soup from your mother's fish from your mother's soup. So it's like you conceive the idea, you get to your goal, which is the ladle, and then you have a final aim, which is to get some particular fish in the soup, you know. So, and this is the driving force that drives you to pursue whatever you want to do. And so, what happens is that you, at the end of the day, what you do is so you take the initiative when you get the ladle, and then you dive into the soup to find what is in there. And this is what research is about. And sometimes you succeed in getting the fish. Sometimes you are caught before you get the fish. And then, yeah. So
Yeah,
the
that's
worst case,
interesting.
you
You
are
have
not
really brought the research into our level. I mean, with the explanation you've given, I'm sure a layperson can even understand what research is.
Yeah, exactly. So you have an idea which you try to use an equipment or some ways and means to get a solution. This basically it. And for me personally, as a young child, I was curious and also introduced to books at a very early age. And for example, the library was my clubhouse where I go to our game center because I didn't have all this kind of all I had was books. And at age 11, I was reading this Apollo 11 crew making the mission to the moon. And so at that age, I was writing to NASA to ask them how to become an astronaut and all this. Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah, for sure. And so by the time you are growing, all this is changing. But then with time, I became interested in medical physics, where I want to understand how radiation is applied in medicine. And then this became the driving force, which I've been trying to improve from time to time until now.
Wow. So it looks like for you, I mean, you have been a scientist all your life, right? It looks
Um,
like from the story you've just narrated, you've been a scientist all your life.
I would say yeah. I've been interested in not only science but in technology and the way
Nature.
to make problem solving very easy. Because now we're probing and things are not as mechanical as before, and one has to make things so feasible for everyone to or to make life so yeah life for the ordinary person so cool and not so stressful. Yeah. So
Wow.
if you can find solution, yeah, this will be.
That's interesting to know. So, at what point in your life did you decide to specialize in physics? I mean, you've loved science or nature or research all your life, but at what point did you decide, okay, I'm not doing chemistry or mathematics or biology, but I want to focus on physics?
Okay, so the thing is, basically when I was trying to go into the university, my interest was in mathematics.
Oh,
I'm I was not offered math because I wanted math because I wanted to join like a Formula One back stuff where you do all these calculations and computations. But then I ended up in physics, which was even had more advanced mathematics.
yeah.
So for me, I seized the opportunity, and then when I found a new pathway, which is this application in cancer treatment, I was like, oh, then I could also take this path.
Wow, that's good to know. So, I think you didn't mention your topic, your current research area. I know it's physics. I mean, but physics is quite broad. So, what are you focusing on right now with your PhD?
Okay, so my PhD is so in the area of radiation application to cancer. So what I'm doing here is that in when somebody has cancer or has a tumor which has to be treated by radiation therapy, what is normally done is that they use what we call radiation therapy.
Mhm.
And here you use radiations, and this radiation generates what we call electrons, and the electrons interact with the body, and then uh, has an underlying mechanism which further on seeks to damage the tumor cells. But in order to make it even more effective, they use what we call chemical agents, which we call as radiosensitizers. That's why in the poster you made, you said electrons and radiosensitization. And then this chemical then enhances the damage to the tumor cells. And so what I'm doing is that in the because I cannot use the human body, we simulate it in the lab, and then we study these molecules that I use. Then we study
Mhm.
the behavior or the mechanism of action which it could, um, or the pathway which it could use to cause this radiosensitization. And this is what I'm doing by mass spectrometry. I don't know how many of you know about mass. We characterize the sample behavior. That's it.
Wow, that's interesting. So, in principle, the problem that your research work is solving is cancer treatment. If I understood what.
Yes, to find new molecules or new drugs which could be used to improve cancer therapy.
So hopefully, if everything goes well, maybe in the next 10 to 20 years, we will be able to have a cancer-free world, right?
This is quite a little bit. Hmm. Yeah. Anyway,
Okay,
what we
we hope
anticipate
so.
is that you have a cancer free, but once we have the chance now, the idea is to improve the current modalities that we are using by finding the right combination between efficacy and this radiation that we use.
Okay, thank you. So before we continue, we have Mamiya saying, wow, beautiful explanation. And Tela Gototi says, speaks like a true Ghanaian. And Mamiya also says, go, Prof. Okay, thank you for your comments, viewers. So, Mr. Arthur-Baidoo, so far, what has been your major challenge with regards to your research work? I mean, what has been your, or even throughout your journey, what has been the challenges that you faced?
Um, I think I had few problems. For example, let me relate it to the PhD or even to the master level. I had few problems from the outset because it was completely new field, switching from medical physics to nuclear energy, and then back to chemistry was kind of a bit hectic. But then for me, I find every opportunity as a golden one. So I put in my all and then try to expand the knowledge as much as I can, and then combine everything I've learned from childhood, to now. And also I had to, so what I had to do is to collaborate with other students from other laboratories
Mm-hmm.
and our group members also to catch up with what I don't know. And until I think 2020, where we were hit by the COVID-19, which interrupted my research. But even that, I found ways to overcome by writing papers and prepare my thesis as well. So I didn't lose that much there. But the difficulty is sometimes when you change environment, because you need to get used to the new setting over there, and this is always sometimes a bit. Because some part they don't speak English, some part they also speak, and this communication is sometimes a problem. But yeah, the work has to be done in the end, whatever the conditions.
Wow. That's good to know. So, if we have younger people watching you who desire to take a career in research, what would you tell such people?
Yeah, research for me is something that you do as part of you. You have to dedicate your all, and it should be something like you opening up a business which open up a business which you personally think that okay, this is for me, so I have to put in all my all. So because if it doesn't drive you, it's not worth it. Because I can give you an example where I wake up around 2 a.m. Then I have an idea. I'm like, ooh, I need to go to the lab as early as in the morning because I cannot go at 2 a.m. So I stay awake, try to find all means, and then by 6 o'clock, I'm already in the lab, trying to see if whatever I thought about will work. So it has to drive you all the time, and then you have to also have the heart to endure because it's
Mm,
not easy. It's like playing a ludo where somebody says that okay, the rules are you have a home kick, you have back kick, you have forward kick, you have labor and all this. It can
mm,
hit you from all angles.
yeah.
But then the problem is that you have to be able to endure, you have focus and then the confidence to overcome whatever and whatever chance you are given, you don't have to give up. Yeah, people start PhD and after 2 years they quit. Others even after the first year they get confused and then they're gone. But what I would say is that if you want to do research, you have then to commit yourself into it because it takes more than just a title, PhD or researcher. It's
Mm.
kind of devotion.
Yeah, so apart from being a very brilliant student, as in being a first class or second class upper student, you should have some other skills. As in, you should be someone who is very strong mentally, very determined, etc. Right?
Yeah, sure.
And
Because
perhaps very passionate also.
exactly. Because if you may be brilliant, okay, fine, but then you don't have the heart to endure certain hardship. Because for example, if you have a very bad supervisor or a supervisor who is not nice, always pressing your neck. If you don't have this kind of endurance, you quit, no matter your intelligence.
Yeah.
So you always have to be on the alert and have some personal confidence, and then also you don't keep it to yourself alone. You also have to have a way to interact with people. Because if you say, okay, I'm keeping everything in, forget it. You either
Okay, so
go,
let me ask you a very personal question. So, in your journey, was there a time that you felt like quitting?
yeah, for sure. I think that was the very first day I went to the lab. Because
What
seeing all these
happened?
sophisticated machines, I'm like, I don't know anything about this. So what am I doing here? But then a guy came in and was like, just chill. This is nothing. Just read around, and then you get it. And then at some point where you feel helpless, because you as a PhD you have to be independent. But then if you don't know anything and you also have to be independent, how do you go about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the point where, but then once you cross this barrier, you become an experienced guy, and that's
So
all you
now,
need.
so now we can say you are well experienced, right?
Oh, for sure. Now I would say so.
Well,
No
that's
matter
good.
the arrows you throw, we are ready to catch.
Great, great, great. That's good to know. So let's run to the future now. What next after your PhD? Do you have plans of going back to Ghana to support research work going on in Ghana, or you are going to stay in Austria, or maybe go to Canada or another country? Are we going to lose you?
Okay. This is a very hard question to ask because normally we anticipate some kind of path line, but we never know what the tomorrow holds. But I love my country and would love to help in the growth of research. And should there be a possibility, I wouldn't say no. But if there should be other opportunities somewhere to gain experience and then come back and apply, because you also once you get to some level, you also go down there and then push others to come. And or even for consultancy to your people. For me,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, going back
And
home.
even with what you are doing now, I'm sure that when people watch and listen to your story, they will also be inspired. Yeah.
Sure. For example, the thing is, when you come, not only that you want to go home, but you also need to set an example that your other people who follow you will have the precedence. Because if you come and then you misbehave, nobody you block the chances for other Ghanaians. But then when
Yeah.
you set an example, once you are gone, you can also recommend people. If you don't do anything, then you go back home. How do you prove it?
Mm-hmm. I get you. So Mamiya says, be curious the right way. Wow, I'm learning a lot. Determination and discipline paid off. So higher, Mr. Arthur. We have Matthew Salomayo. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name properly. And he says, congrats, Mr. Eugene. Yeah, so another thing we do here is also to celebrate our researchers. And we want to say that we are very proud of you for the great and interesting things we are doing. And we encourage you to keep on keeping on. And we have younger people watching you and learning from you. And we believe that when the time comes, you would also be there to mentor other people or other younger students coming up who want to take up from where you end. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so what will be your final words to our viewers?
I think what I would say is that whatever your hand find doing, as you have to put in your all. And research doesn't mean there are some people who think, okay, PhD, you have to write a huge book and kind of, but it's a collaborative work sometimes. You don't do it alone, and then you also have people around who are always ready to help you. So if you are somebody who lost the confidence that, okay, I cannot do it, it's time for you to give it a try. And then you see that, yeah, this is it. But then also you have to know the right channels, how to go about. You don't just pick anything because you want to have a title as a PhD or yeah, be called a doctor. This you will
Mhm.
make a mistake. But
Yeah,
then make sure that you have the requisite skills or you are ready for it. And yeah, when the chance comes, just give it a try. And I think we can improve life with whatever solution that we bring on board. If not now, maybe in the future.
well, interesting. If not now, then maybe in the future. Mr. Eugene Arthur-Baidoo, thank you so much for honoring our invitation and sharing your journey and the interesting stuff you are doing with us. I mean, we can't wait to have a cancer-free world. Yeah. And
Yeah.
viewers, this brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you so much for staying tuned and see you in our next episode. Bye bye.
Bye.